Welcome to Justice Now, and this is part 21 of the series Tips for Black Workers. So, if you are in a supervisor type role in which you will be required to supervise the work of other colleagues, be expected to be undermined. You'll still be undermined in the entry-level positions, but that is amplified even more when you get into a supervisor position or a management position. What do I mean by expect to be undermined? Well, I can give you some examples. There are situations where in the workforce, I had both different people from different cultures in which I am required to supervise. However, what happens is, or at least my observations is what I find, is when you are stating a directive for them to complete a task, you are met with, or I was met with, a lot of resistance. They make it seem as if what you have to say is invalid, so you have to constantly assert your position. And say if you're working on a particular project that you need to do, then the people who report to you seem to think that somehow you're not doing any work. And be expected to have information omitted, even more so. Be expected to be scrutinized and watched even more closely. I don't know how much more closely enough that one can be scrutinized, but it does happen. Expect for you to be undermined. So I'll give you some examples of what's occurred. I'm trying to get an individual into school, and they're in a different district. And what happened is the person who reports to me makes a comment in front of the individual. Oh, it doesn't seem like they knew what you were talking about, as to undermine what I'm doing. So I did not respond. In most cases, you do not have to respond. There's other situations where I'm working on filling out an application or filling out forms that are required of me from my supervisor. And you have a couple of workers that are chatting together about how I'm at the desk filling out paperwork. They don't know why I'm filling out the paperwork. They don't know how long it takes to fill out that paperwork and gather the information. So then they proceed to setting things up, like not taking the individuals, for their grooming or their hygiene routine before bedtime. There'll be situations where I'm being asked to do a task, only to find out that they've already done a portion of the task but did not tell me about it. And again, you could do everything right with asking questions, but you're still not really receiving the information that's needed. So, just being really mindful of the pitfalls. There's a lot of perceptions associated with being in a supervisor role or managerial role, in that somehow it is easier for you. It is not. It is often more difficult. The higher you get in terms of chain of command, the more difficult it becomes, until you can find yourself a position where you are protected, fully protected by the company. So, and that's usually at the highest levels. So keep that in mind. You know, if you're reporting to a manager um, who is black, you know, keep in mind that these are just some of the things that they go through, and to not be as ready to judge them or not be ready to have perceptions that somehow they're not contributing. They are. They're just being given a different set of rules or a different set of tasks that need to be done. Um, but yeah, like it's really eye-opening. I've done supervisor roles in the past, but that was under a different circumstance where I wasn't working with a team per se, but working with other contract workers who I would supervise. So this is quite interesting as to how this is panning out. So just wanted to let you know, for those who are managers, supervisors, um, gather as much resources as you can. Um, Definitely, you know, call the worker to the side to advise if this is a concern where they're undermining you. I know that I've done that. Um, in fact, I've done that 3 times yesterday with the same person. And make sure to document as to what's going on and to notify your higher ups as to what's going on so that they too are aware. And it could be quite possible that these certain people were planted there in order to do just that, undermine your position. What I also really notice is that you know, there are certain people that do not or are very envious of uh, black supervisors and black managers and do not want to have them as leaders because of their own racist perceptions. So I hope this was helpful, that you're not alone, that you too are supported, and stay tuned for other videos.